Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Formula 1 news, and after all the discussion of the last few days as to who is going to join Haas to be the second driver to make Schumacher, a name has really come out of the blue these last 48 hours. Kevin Magnussen is the man, returning to Haas after the 2020 season that didn't go all that well. Lots to dive into today. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Bahrain testing begins tomorrow morning. This is the Mercedes lineup. Lewis in the morning, George in the afternoon. Very intrigued to see what car Mercedes and some of the other teams are going to bring out this weekend. If the rumour is true about the whole side pods thing on the Mercedes, whether they're just not going to be there at all, whether it's going to be quicker, who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, exciting stuff, no doubt about it. This is what the McLaren looked like this weekend. Slight change to the livery. They've gone for a slightly more black approach here on the back side of things. Some people were saying that it's kind of slowly becoming the Mercedes livery from last year. But I mean, yeah, I think it looks kind of nice, to be honest. Maybe not quite as nice as the one that we saw in Barcelona, but also if you guys look at the kind of the flooring right here, like things are somewhat different. So definitely some teams already trying new things. There was a lot of talk about what McLaren were kind of doing with the side of the car in terms of the airflow and you know, the porpoising issues that a lot of teams were seeing. Seemingly this is what they're running with this weekend. Let's talk about Haas then. It's a bit of a shamble for them the last few days. They're not even going to be at the test in time after a freight delay. So we did talk about the possibility of this yesterday, but yeah, Haas had some sort of air freight issue such that all their equipment can't arrive in time. So tomorrow morning, when the test is going to begin for all the other teams, after a pretty shambolic test for Haas in Barcelona, or shakedown, apologies, then you know, they're not going to be there in time. So tomorrow morning, I don't believe they're going to be able to do it. The afternoon, they reckon they'll be there in time, but even that might be somewhat optimistic. That's far from ideal. As Haas say, the team's freight arrived late last night to the circuit in Bahrain. The delay will impact our programming. We're targeting being out on track for the second session Thursday afternoon with none other than Pietro Fittipaldi in the Haas. Now, of course, initially when Mazepin was going to be out there, which is obviously the case now, was confirmed a couple of days ago, the thoughts was, okay, is Fittipaldi going to be here as the full-time driver? That seemed rather unlikely. They were looking at other options. Several names were kind of thrown into the ring. The initial one, I believe, being Antonio Giovinazzi. Then Hülkenberg kind of came into the mix the last 48 hours. And then Kevin Magnussen really just appeared the last 24 hours, to be honest. And, well, now he's actually got the seat. We'll have a look at that here in just a couple of seconds. Firstly, this from Chris Medland, because a lot of talk about Mazepin, the situation over there. He certainly had a few words to say to Haas. Like, he wasn't happy that seemingly they basically told him at the same time that they told the rest of the public that he was going to be gone. We honestly knew that before it was officially announced, it seemingly at least. But he seems to suggest that he received a letter from the Haas lawyer notifying him. Haas then announced it very quickly afterwards. His point was that he hadn't been offered or informed earlier and offered other options by the team. Now, of course, the whole Euro-Cali situation is another one because they've effectively been asking for their money back, which is quite something because, of course, I guess if Haas are the ones that have terminated the partnership, therefore there's some implication there. Honestly, a very chaotic situation. Mazepin doesn't seem to be fully kind of, you know, on board with the rest of the world in terms of the way he's looking at this. Definitely has an interesting perspective on the matter. He's created this kind of We Compete as One, well, foundation supposedly, to support athletes that cannot compete for political reasons. Of course, his case is somewhat different maybe to other athletes that just happen to be Russian or Ukrainian, for example, who might be stuck in a difficult situation just because, I mean, you know, his father is legitimately like the oligarch, right? Very close to the Russian government, and yeah, the funding for, well, him actually to be in the team and for the Euro-Cali side kind of comes from that perspective as well, right? So, bit of a controversial one. Obviously, I guess makes sense that Mazepin's out of there. Not really sure why he seems to be fighting this one so hard. I don't know. Seems like his perspective is somewhat warped, which I guess you can understand, but I mean, still, I don't really think people are going to miss him all that much here in the Formula 1 world. This was also said, right, the fact that Mazepin seemingly had no warning he was going to lose his seat, and also the fact that, well, the Euro-Cali boys want the money back, which, well, may or may not happen. Supposedly, Haas are going to be okay in terms of financial security, but still not an ideal situation. Then, though, we get into the fact, okay, who's actually going to replace this guy? Giovinazzi was discussed, Hülkenberg was discussed, and, well, seemingly, Magnussen really came out of the blue over the last day or so, describing how Magnussen has entered the fight for the vacancy. He and Hülkenberg appear in the front row, Giovinazzi with chances, Pietro should really just do the test, decision is expected for tomorrow. Then this was also kind of talked about on some sort of Instagram story here from a Brazilian source closely related to Fittipaldi, saying effectively the translation is not perfect, but it kind of gets the point across here that, you know, our pilot Pietro is not going to actually get the seat. So the description is basically, you know, I wanted to pass on this unfortunate news. Pilot Pietro's not got the spot. Alas, he participates in the training, but does not make the season. This source reckoned Hülkenberg was going to take the vacancy alongside Schumacher. That's not how it turned out, as then was discussed a few hours later by Albert Fabrega, so this really changed very quickly indeed. That Magnussen was becoming a very strong candidate to replace Mazepin, which was then being talked about by a load of different news sources. So this kind of stuff all came together very quickly indeed. That yeah, Magnussen is going to return to Haas for the upcoming season. The article I thought was quite interesting here because it kind of described how, like, especially in this point right here, three names quickly emerged to fill the vacancy: Giovinazzi, Hülkenberg, and Magnussen. According to information from Endurance info, it is the latter who would have been chosen by the entity led by Günther Steiner. So I guess implying, right, that Steiner was kind of the one who was on board with this Magnussen move more than some of the others. And of course, like, he has raced for Haas before, to not incredible success, but I think on the whole, right, out of the three options, Magnussen certainly a decent pick. Hülkenberg, I think, might have been some people's top choice. Magnussen probably not too far behind. So good to see him back in the Formula 1 arena, and then it gets confirmed by Haas really not all that long after, just a few minutes ago. Welcome back, K-Mag. Kevin Magnussen will partner Schumacher for the 2022 driver lunch. So pretty cool to see him back in business. Thought, honestly, you know, it's nice, I think, for the grid to have him back involved. Definitely intrigued to your perspective on this. Is this the driver you would have chosen to go with if you were Haas? But, you know, I think pretty cool to see Magnussen back in Formula 1, to be honest. These results over the last few years first came into F1 back in 2014 for McLaren Mercedes, as they were at the time. Managed to pick up the only podium of his career in 55 points over the course of the season. The 2018 season was pretty good for him on Haas. He competed them for a few years in that seat, but, well, didn't get any podiums, but he got a couple of fastest laps in 2018, 2019, and really didn't finish out the championship too well back in 2020, coming 20th on the whole. Now he seems to be back in the seat. Pretty exciting. A few things just to finish out the video here with. First of all, the safety car. This is kind of the back view of it. Quite interesting because usually the light panel would be on the top of the car. Now it's built into the spoiler, which is quite interesting really, just because I guess aerodynamically, it's effectively they've got DRS now on the new AMG Black Series here that's going to be the safety car for the upcoming season. So I guess it's slightly more aerodynamically viable around the corners. And also this just to finish things out. Most of the drivers now are on track. Seemed like Hamilton got delayed, right, because he was in Paris for this fashion thing, whatever he was up to, classic stuff. And well, his flight to Bahrain seemingly got delayed. He'll be on track tomorrow morning as planned, but it wasn't in time quite to get this picture of all the drivers on the grid ahead of the new season. Cool gesture. Very much looking forward to what happens at the test tomorrow. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching as always. Take care, and I'll see you next time.